Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning. This question is for the Premier. For months now, students, families, and education workers have been on a roller coaster as the government introduced a piecemeal plan that ignored expert advice on class sizes. Schools have been forced to collapse smaller classes into bigger ones, while this government is hoarding $9.3 billion in unspent COVID relief money that should have been used to keep them safe and keep those class sizes small. And now, just when families might be finally getting into some kind of routine, the Premier and the Minister of Education are causing all this uncertainty once again, Mr. Speaker, musing in the press about an early closure or an extended break. So will the Premier please tell us, and all the anxious families watching, if he's ready to shut down schools instead of capping class sizes at 15?
Good.
Minister of Education to respond.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, according to the Chief Medical Officer of Health and leading medical experts across this country, schools in this province are safe. 99.96% of students do not have COVID. 99.86% of students have never had COVID. 99.7% of staff have never had COVID. 86% of schools do not have a case at all. Our plan in this province is keeping our kids safe, and we should be proud of our public health officials, of our doctors, of our teachers, and of our parents who have worked so hard to ensure we lead the nation in virtually every way. Now, Mr. Speaker, we are proud of our work. We're proud of that plan. But yes, we're working with the Chief Medical Officer of Health, as was asked by the Leader of the Opposition days ago. We are cognizant of community transmission rising. We have a duty to work with the Chief Medical Officer to scale up our plan, to make sure it responds to the risk, and to keep our kids safe in 2020 and beyond. And that is exactly what we're doing.
Supplementary question.
Mr. Speaker, it's like playing whack-a-mole trying to keep direct track of what direction this government is going in. The minister wants to talk percentages, but I'll tell you what parents are telling me. They're saying our kids are not data points. Parents are interested in the 100 new cases a day that are taking place in our schools. Speaker, like the families at Begley Public School in Windsor, who are the latest to face an outbreak. The local public health unit has closed the school, and parents are now spending the day trying to get their kids tested, as are staff. They're praying they weren't exposed. Speaker, families are stuck between a plan that doesn't do enough to keep their kids safe and the threat of a full closure or a delayed return, and it's a false choice. It should never have come to this. If the Chief Medical Officer of Health recommends that schools stay open, as the minister has said, why won't the government cap class sizes so we can keep them that way?
Minister of Education to respond.
Mr. Speaker, it is quite obvious, according to leading medical experts across this province, that our schools remain safe places for kids. The transmission is not happening within school, but fundamentally entering from community into our schools. And the data points, I think, need to inspire confidence in the population that 99.96% of students do not have COVID. The fact that of 4,800 schools, there are 3 closed to the province, it only underscores that something special is happening in this province by the leadership of our frontline staff and our public health. And Mr. Speaker, let me add, in Quebec, when you compare our plan to the next largest jurisdiction in this province, they have 21% of all cases in Quebec come from schools. In Ontario, 7%. They have 1 million fewer students. We are doing something incredible in this province, not because of government, because of our teachers, because of our public health leaders. And yes, we will continue, as the Premier has made clear, build up our plan, make sure it leads the nation and it keeps every student and every staff safe in Ontario. Well said,